a vaccine in 1 year. Now, to many, this is not news. Just stay with me. Last week, President Obama on Monday requested more than $1.8 billion in emergency funding to fight an outbreak of the Zika virus, which has spread to 26 countries and territories in Central and South America, though not yet to the United States. Now, that has changed. We're getting a few reports, but the money would go toward expanding programs that control mosquitoes, which transmit the virus, as well as research into vaccines and new public education programs, particularly for pregnant women, the president said in an interview on CBS this morning. Again, not old news. Guys, stay with me. This is affecting things all the way around our planet. Even the Olympic Games, you've got female contestants that are saying they're very concerned about going, and some that are saying they're not going because they don't want to take the chance of becoming pregnant, or if they're pregnant, letting this affect their child. Again, that's just Rio de Janeiro, the games in August, guys. You can't blame them for this, but this is a massive move on world depopulation. Stay with me. Health Minister Marcelo Castro announced that Brazil would invest $1.9 million in research for the vaccine in the next 5 years in partnership with the University of Texas. Now pay attention. The World Health Organization, or WHO, declared a global public health emergency over the possible connection between Zika and microcephalia, a condition marked by the abnormally small heads in newborn babies. The link with Zika has not been confirmed, but the WHO and other public health bodies have said it is strongly suspected. So they're not sure yet, but we're going to spend billions. Guys, it's more deadly, it's more evil than Zika ever thought about being. Zika has been around and was first discovered in the 40s in Africa in the Zika forest. Now let's look at this PDF. This is important. This is a report from physicians in the crop-sprayed villages regarding dengue, Zika, microcephaly, and mass spraying with chemical poisons. Main points: dengue epidemic in Brazil persists endemically, which is on an ongoing basis, due to the marginalization and misery of millions of people, especially in northeast Brazil. On top of that, the Zika virus, a similar disease, although more benign, is now spreading. A dramatic increase of congenital malformations, especially microcephaly in newborns, was detected and quickly linked to the Zika virus by the Brazilian Ministry of Health. That's the first ones. However, they failed to recognize that in the area where most sick people live, a chemical larvicide, remember the word larvicide, producing malformations in mosquitoes, has been applied for 18 months, and that this poison, which is pyroproxyfen, is applied by the state on drinking water used by the affected population. Previous Zika epidemics did not cause birth defects in newborns, despite infecting 75% of the population in those countries. Also in other countries such as Colombia, there are no records of microcephaly. However, there are plenty of cases of Zika. The pyroproxyfen being used, as recommended by the World Health Organization, is manufactured by Sumamoto Chemical, a Japanese subsidiary of Monsanto. Brazilian doctors of Brasco are claiming that the strategy of chemical control is contaminating the environment as well as people, that is not decreasing the amount of mosquitoes, and that this strategy is in fact a commercial maneuver from the chemical poisons industry, deeply integrated into Latin American ministries of health as well as WHO and the WHO. And guys, they're talking about now taking all these agricultural planes that Monsanto has helped put in place in those areas over massive amounts of agriculture. They call it the Soy Air Force, to use it to spray this chemical into the drinking water. Now remember the word larvicide? What this is doing is they developed it to spray into the water, and it would keep the larvae of the mosquito from developing. But it's into the they sprayed it in the drinking water. Guys, you don't think the scientists at Monsanto know what they're doing? We know it's based on greed also, but money is the backbone of some of the most evil things on this planet. The reason I say that is Satan doesn't need the money, but his puppets are bribed with it. They are planning on spraying this pyroproxyfen all over, and if they get their way here, it will be over the United States, Europe, and the rest of this planet. But pyroproxyfen is applied directly by the Brazilian Ministry of Health on drinking water reservoirs used by the people of Pernambuco, where the proliferation of the Aedes mosquito is very high, a situation similar to the Pacific Islands. This poison, recommended by the WHO, is a growth inhibitor of mosquito larvae, which alters the development process from the larva to the pupil to adult. Does that sound familiar? Malformations detected in thousands of children from pregnant women living in areas where the Brazilian state added pyroproxyfen to drinking water is not a coincidence, even though the Ministry of Health places a direct blame on Zika virus for the damage, while trying to ignore its responsibility, and it goes back to them being paid off by Monsanto to sign the checks so that they can spray their poison around the world. This is now a human genocide issue. Is it a planned depopulation? Doctors for the Brazilian Association for Collective Health, or BRASCO, are demanding that urgent studies take place and to see if there's a link, because they're saying that among 3,893 cases of malformations confirmed until January 20th this year, 49 children have died, but only 5 were confirmed to have been infected with Zika. Think about it, guys. Now, many policymakers, public health experts, chemists, politicians, they forget that human beings, every one of us, have deployed embryonic development processes in which we go through very different stages. The evolution from zygote to embryo, from embryo to fetus, and from fetus to newborn is not far from the development process of the mosquito affected by the pyroproxyfen. They also very easily try to ignore that in humans, 60% of our active genes are identical to those of insects such as the Andes mosquitoes. Tell me Monsanto does not know this. And guys, who are the panels that are recommending this? Experts from foundations and chemical insecticide companies. Think about that. Guys, I want someone to take this and put it into Spanish. You have my full permission to put it back up on YouTube in Spanish, because you guys down there are getting bombarded. Again, this goes beyond greed. It goes to evil. This is world depopulation. And if the policymakers around the world get their way, again, like with Obama's 1.8 billion, to find medicine to cure this, when it's Monsanto doing it. Now, the population is being attacked on two sides. You got the English company Oxitec, which sells the genetically modified mosquitoes, supposedly in order to decrease the Aedes population. A lethal gene is inserted into those mosquitoes, which is transmitted to the offspring, causing death to the larvae if it is not blocked by an antibiotic, tetracycline. And guys, there's a lot of that because they inject a lot of livestock with that, and it's in their waste. The goal is that millions of male mosquitoes are released to mate with wild females, so their eggs result in larvae which die spontaneously. The business is to sell those lab mosquitoes to governments, and then people need to protect those mosquitoes because supposedly it is neither necessary nor advisable to remove the sites where they breed. Someone check out Oxitec for me and see if they haven't been bought out and they're operating out of Boston or somewhere in Massachusetts. So you see what's happening, guys. Since only 15% of it's working, just put more and more into these depopulation zones. He said, also take into account that the biology of the disease shows that the female only stings when it's pregnant and generating eggs after being fertilized by a male. The males don't bite you. It does it in that state and only then because it needs blood components in order to develop the eggs. So if millions of male mosquitoes are released, there will be many more fertilized females looking to suck the blood of the mammals, thus increasing the spreading of the disease from infected people to healthy people. And that's the dengue fever, the Zika, and the other things, not the deformations of the children, guys. Look at how this is. They're raking in billions to just get the population down. This has been going on since the beginning of time. So will the madness continue? They look for vaccines and spray the poison, or will this become part of public awareness into the entire event? That will depend on us. Again, the Spanish translations. This is major. It says the governments of Mercosur are causing alarm with the threat of Zika and microcephaly, proposing more of the same. The agribusiness Monsanto is offering the services of what they call the Soya Air Force to be used for spraying over cities and villages. But guys, once again, it's going to be over the poor areas, kind of like Flint, Michigan, and the water. But this is very bad because it affects the next generation and the next. Guys, this is a heads up. Be safe. Please spread this word. This has to be stopped, or they're going to bring it here and to every other nation in response to a mosquito when it's Monsanto. This is a elimination of species. So heads up, be safe.